I'm still alive.
That's a great start. I'm glad.
I can't say this word. A phenomenon.
A phenomenon.
A weather phenomenon. And what you see on the TV is what you get. We're no different in real life to what we are on the TV.
I can never say the word. Is it
Due diligence.
Well,
Did we not say
I don't think you said it right.
Did I say it weird?
Due diligence. Due diligence. There we go.
Yeah, and we would never name any agents, but they know who they are, and we know. Well,
You know who you are.
who you are. How many times do I have to fluff a cushion?
Yeah, this is it.
Make a bed, sweep poop off the floor.
Yeah. Well. Hello and welcome back to the Garners Couch Club Podcast.
And I'm Sharon, this is Shaun of Channel 4 Sunscene Selling Houses and Spanish Property Choice, located in the beautiful province of Costa Almeria, Spain, and also Costa del Sol.
I love I got the shorter introduction because mine's so much easier to remember than yours.
Yeah, but also it's really hard with these teeth, keep saying the sissies.
No, the cushions go in.
Oh, here we go with the cushions.
I can't deal with so many cushions. There we go. Yeah. Okay.
But you know I'm like with
better.
cushions. I mean, look at this one. I mean, that one's special, isn't it? Look. Hey?
Yeah. Do you want to stroke my cushion? Yeah, it's lovely. Suede. So, how are you, mother?
Well, I'm still alive.
That's a great start. I'm glad.
I will explain. We were actually in Costa del Sol yesterday because we'd gone down to see John because we're still looking for an office to move into down in that region, although we're now selling properties down there. And well, we thought the world was coming to an end because we had no electricity.
Yes.
The whole of Spain and Portugal and some of France just went off all at the same time.
It was really strange.
Wasn't it weird?
It was really weird. I was in the Mahaka office. I was actually on the phone to one of our colleagues down in Almeria City, and it just went completely dead. But then everything went off at the same time, and I thought it's weird for the phones to go, a mobile phone, at the same time as the power. Yeah. And yeah, it turns out we had a full national outage. You call it?
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah, power outage.
Power outage.
Yeah.
But what worried me, though, is we were literally we'd just come back from seeing John, and we were just walking into the hotel room, and your dad had put the card in the slot and went to press the button, and as he pressed the button, the lights went out, and I was like, you've just caused all that. Your dad has caused the whole outage.
Yeah, that's something we would do, but no, I've been listening to the news and the thousands and thousands of people that were stuck on trains, lifts.
Oh, that would have been
theme parks. I saw videos of people stuck on the rides at theme parks. It was.
Well, we were thinking about the cable cars that were just outside Malaga.
Yeah, Malaga.
You know, I mean, honestly, that would have been. If I'd have been stuck in a lift in the dark, you would have heard me here in Almeria because that would have frightened me. But it's really strange because it made me realise how reliant we are. Not just on the lights and things like that, but I miss Coronation Street. I missed EastEnders.
Mother, there are much more important things in life.
No, I don't mean that. But being out of contact, having no phone.
That was the hardest part.
That was hard.
Yeah. I mean, I still don't understand how we don't have an answer to what happened.
And we never will do because the government won't tell you. I mean, what have we heard? We heard that it was I can't say this word, a weather phenomenon. Apparently, they said that because of all the different temperatures throughout Spain, it had made the electrical wiring vibrate. And then eventually it got to that point where it blew the system. I mean, who come up with that?
Well, I've heard so many different things, and by the time this episode comes out, we might actually have an answer.
Yeah,
but
it was probably the aliens.
Yeah, I put it down to beam me up, Scotty. They were someone was trying to contact, but there was apparently a fire in France that could have caused it. There were rumours it could have been a cyber attack, but
Yeah.
they got rid of that rumour very quick. So
Yeah, and in the hotel, it was, we think it was room 107.
yeah, Stephen Garner, what have you done? No, but yeah, it was a very unusual thing to go through. But we're back to, I was going to say back to normal, but we're never going to be back to normal, are we?
No, we're never normal, son. We're never normal. So what have we got to talk about today?
Okay, so today's episode, I thought it would be good to go into maybe a couple of tips, being estate agents as we are, giving tips to anyone that may be watching who's looking at potentially buying in Almeria or
Come to
Costa
Spanish
del
Property Choice.
Sol.
That's it. That's it.
That's the tip.
Podcast
End
over.
of the episode.
Just
See you
come
later.
to Spanish Property Choice.
No, just some tips about buying and selling, because I've been reading a lot of the comments that we get over YouTube, Spotify, and Apple, and a lot of people are saying, loving the show, guys, loving the episodes, but they're asking, could we maybe give them a little bit of guidance on how to go about buying a property in Spain, and people that are looking to sell. Is there any advice we can give to people that want to list their properties with us? So
yeah, I mean, just to explain that, obviously we are asking everybody who are watching us to keep sending us in different, questions they want answering, and obviously we can only do this once a week physically because of the volume of work we do. So we will, whatever you've asked us on any subject, we will be covering it. It just might take us a little bit longer.
Yes.
But yeah, we do get people talk to us about, how do we start? I mean, I think Brexit, the dreaded B word, is still worrying people. The amount of people that contact me and say, my dream has just been shattered because of Brexit.
Yeah.
Well, that's not necessarily true. It just means, what I say to people is, you've just got to rethink what your original plans were.
yeah, and it's getting the right advice as well, because obviously we get asked however many times a day, where do we stand with the 90-day rule and the visas, and how do we go about all of that? And obviously we do always redirect people to a legal advisor, because they are the only people that will have the most up-to-date information to provide.
Yeah.
So I think we're always there to, try and give you that guidance and that information, but I think it puts a lot of people at ease when they still ask us, well, who's the leading buyers on the market? And it is still the British.
Yeah.
So even though, yes, Brexit's happened, obviously the pandemic put a lot of people back on their plans as well, but people are still buying in Spain. People are still
Absolutely.
moving over.
Yeah.
People are still investing in the country. And I think that alone just gives a lot of people a bit of peace of mind to think, well, okay, my dreams aren't unachievable.
Absolutely. The difficulty is, again, even on the show, even on Sunsea Selling Houses, we get a lot of people say to us, why can't you cover, the costs involved? Why can't you cover community fees? Why can't you cover, the 90-day rule? We can't do that because it's time specific.
Yeah.
And obviously by the time the show's filmed and cut and aired, things will have changed, because it does in Spain, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So that is one of the reasons why we try not to give you any sort of legal advice, because we're estate agents, and we've got to leave that to the professionals to do. But what we can do is we can give you the advice when it comes to where to start if you're going to be looking for a property, or what to do if you're going to be selling a property.
Yeah, definitely.
Come to Spanish Property Choice.
Exactly. That is the answer. Come to us and we will guide you. I mean, I've even just had my best friend's parents just moved over, and I've known them for over 10 years now, and obviously they know the business we're in, and they've watched the show, and still them going through the experience, they still came to me and we did a little FaceTime and we sat and chatted, and again, I kind of gave them the information, but at the end of the conversation, it was, right, okay, you now need to go and seek a solicitor and they'll guide you. And just that one conversation put their mind at ease, because they were sat there in the UK waiting to sell, thinking, we've got to go through the visas and we've got to make sure we've got enough money in the bank. And I know it can be very, very daunting. 99% of our clients, come to us thinking, well, where do we even start? But I think that very, very first step is, joking apart, come to Spanish Property Choice. Pick up the phone, drop us an email, contact us through our social media, however you want to come to us, and let one of our staff have that initial conversation.
Yeah. I mean, most people, I'm hoping, who are watching this know us anyway. We've been doing Sunset and selling houses now we're now coming into our 9th year. And what you see on the TV is what you get. We're no different in real life to what we are on the TV. And we say to people, look, if we haven't got the property for you, we'll find it. We will guide you. All the information that you don't hear on the TV, you will be given that. We go through every process with you. We put you in touch with people who know what they're talking about. But when it comes to selling houses, we do know what we're talking about. Yep. And that's where our local knowledge. We've lived here 20 years now, so there's not many houses out there that we don't know about. We get offered properties on a daily basis. Some, unfortunately, we can't take, and that's purely down to paperwork. We set ourselves up, when we set this business up, we what's the word? We set a standard, and we said that we would be transparent and we would be honest. And when the Decree 218 came out, we followed the decree as much as we possibly could.
Yep.
Because the Decree 218, again, even that gets changed on a regular basis. And we always make sure that on every property that we've got for sale, that we've got all the legal documentation in our office or on our files in line with that decree. And unfortunately, some people don't want to give it to us, or they physically haven't got it, have they?
Well, no, the problem that we find a lot as well is, because we are so upfront and strict with the paperwork that we request, as the law states, we do everything, by the book. That means that the agent in the next town along or the next street along, they probably don't ask for the paperwork because they just take the risk. And, when we're sat there saying, so we need this, this and this, and then, we do get some people that say, oh, yeah, but so-and-so around the corner isn't going to ask us for any paperwork, so
we'll take the property to them.
We'll just go to them. And I don't think people understand the severity of selling a property without the correct paperwork and what repercussions they can have as a seller. Not only the buyer, anyone listening to this that's looking to buy, yes, this does affect you, but as a vendor as well, the amount of comeback that you can have from selling a property, knowing full well that there is an issue.
Yeah.
And
well, when you go to notary on completion, you actually, as a vendor, you sign a legal document to say that there are no encumbrances on the property. And believe me, the Spanish government are starting to get red hot on tracing people now.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they need the coffers in the bank. And they are chasing people. So again, you have a lot of people that will sell privately. I mean, back in the day, 20 years ago, a private contract was a common theme. It was, that's how you bought a property here. But things have changed significantly now. And the one good thing about the Almeria region, or not the Almeria region, the Andalusian region, is we are governed. We are governed by the Decree 218/2005. And we are, anywhere else in Spain hasn't got that legal backing. So we are one of the safest places. The Andalusia region is one of the safest places to buy now if you go to the right agent and you know what you're asking for.
But that is true. But on the other hand, if you're dealing with an agent that's doing their, I can never say the word, is it due diligence? Well,
Did we say
I don't think you said it right.
Did I say it weird?
Due diligence.
Due
diligence. There we go.
Yeah.
Um,
Doing the job right, basically.
then really you shouldn't have to know all the right sort of paperwork to ask for, because you should put your trust in the agent to say, right, well, you've done your job. Yeah. That's why I'm coming to an estate agent. And that's what we do.
Yeah.
You know, we offer...
you know for a fact that that's not necessarily the case.
But that's what I'm saying.
We know. We know the agents that do and the agents that don't. And that's why we have collaborations with what we class as good agents, because we know that, they'll... If you come to us to look for a property, it may not even be on our books. If you say to me or to Shaun or to any of our team, I want a 10-bedroom Cortio and I want to be on a hill and I want a big plot of land, we will find it you. But by using us, the one thing that you will be guaranteed is that the agents that we collaborate with will have supplied us with the relevant documentation before we take you to see the property, because we can't risk that not being in place.
Well, anyone that collaborates with us knows how we work.
Yeah.
So
they know we're going to ask for it.
Exactly.
Don't they?
We leave it very clear when we do list a property for another agent that if we find you a buyer, you know the list of documents we're going to want. And we had some occasions where that wasn't the case. We found the perfect property. I rang the agent and said, right, I've got this client. They were desperate to buy something very quickly. They'd sold in the UK. They were here ready to buy. And the agent promised me over the phone, yes, we have absolutely everything, don't worry. We went and viewed it. We even did a second viewing on it. And then the agent turned around and said, oh, no, actually, they have an issue with the paperwork and it could take 6 months to fix. And I thought, well, just what a waste of time.
Yeah.
What a waste of time for us as an agent, for my clients that were devastated, but also for the owners and the other agent. You think, well, why?
What's the point?
Why put yourself through all of that extra work? And it's bizarre, and it's something I've never got my head around. You've always drilled it into us and all the staff how we have to work and the guidelines we have to follow, and how there are agents out there that don't do that. It really annoys me.
Well, it annoys all of us, and unfortunately, you have to be very careful, because the last thing we want to do is run other agents down. That's not professional, and we would never name any agents, but they know who they are, and we know. Well,
you know who you are.
Who you are. We've been here a long time. We've seen a lot of agents come and go. We've seen agents rebrand themselves, and it is very frustrating, because we want to scream from the top of the mountain, that please don't go to that agent, but we can't do that. And we're not saying we're perfect, because believe me, we're not. We try our hardest, but with the system and the way things change, we get caught out from time to time. There's no question about that. But it's not through a lack of trying. And I've had people in the office literally screaming in my face saying, why are you asking for all this paperwork? I've got it on with 5 other agents and not one of them have asked for any of this. And I've said, well, I'll tell you what. Go back to each one of them and you go and scream in their faces, because they're the ones that are breaking the law, not me. I don't want to do this. I don't want to have this confrontation with you, and I certainly don't want to spend my money on printing out escrituras and notice implays and all the other documentation that we need, because that costs me money before we even get a property onto the books. I don't want to do that, but it's the law, and that's what we've got to do. The good thing about us doing that is when we do find a buyer, we can get a quick sale. And it goes through. It doesn't cost the vendor any more money. If the vendor's got an issue with the paperwork, we'll have found that prior to the sale, and that will have all been sorted out and processed and gone through before we go to sale, and it makes an easy sale. I had and I'm still going through it. I had a similar situation recently where I found a property for some great clients. I mean, I think we're going to be really good friends when they come over, and they've got a daughter who I think I'm going to get on really, really well with. But unfortunately, I found this property because they'd got a very low budget, but for what they wanted, I had to use a local agent. And I saw this property, and anyway, because I was time restricted, because they were literally flying back, I did say, look, I said to them, I can arrange this appointment to go and see the house, but I haven't been able to do the paperwork check or anything prior to going and seeing it. But as long as you're happy to go and have a look, and oh yeah, no problem, we can sort that out later. So we went to see the property. They fell in love with it. They definitely wanted to buy it. They were happy to proceed with putting a deposit and that down, knowing that they'd get the money back if there was an issue. And blow me, it turns out, although once again, the agent promised me faithfully, they'd got all the documentation in place, and no, there's a right of way issue, and also there is a inheritance problem. They hadn't got the inheritance through, so they are still buying the property, I'm hoping, but it's the timescale now. What they were hoping to be here now.
And I think that it is very, very frustrating, especially when we try and do everything the best we can, and we are very, very strict. And like you said before, we're not perfect. No agent is, but I can guarantee, especially in our local area, we are the agent that has tried the longest. We did, in a sense, set the standard. Because we got the fame very early on of they're the agent that's going to ask us for every single piece of paperwork. But then it's not backfired on us. Looking back now over the however many years we've been trading, was it 15 plus years now?
2007 we opened Spanish Property Choice.
That we can look back and say, we've always put in the work and we've always made everything as good as it can be. So really, going back to the subject, tips would be definitely, obviously, use an agent that you're comfortable with. Use an agent that you've done your research on and you know that they do the job the way that they should be, or the best at that they can. I think also, like we're saying, the legal side of things, a huge part in the move is speaking to a lawyer. Now, again, you've always got this, don't use your estate agent solicitor, which I 100% agree with. It's then difficult because people say, oh, well, who would you recommend? And then you've got to be careful, because just because you may be recommending some companies doesn't mean that you work in hand with them. We've never taken money for recommending solicitors. We've never had someone contracted to our company, but we will more than happily give you a list of names
that we use on a regular basis, that we do. But then even that can backfire, because at one time we had again, I'm not going to mention any names, but we had a solicitor who was absolutely excellent. The paperwork checks and the reports that came back were just top notch. But unfortunately, he had an issue, a health issue. And people had bought through him and were really happy with the sale and everything. But then when he became not very well, obviously things started to slip a little bit, because he wasn't able to do his job properly. And then you get people come back to you and say, well, you recommended him. Well, you can't you can't look into the future and see, what that person's going to be like in 12 months' time. But at the time, the sale went through, everything was perfect, there's no legal issues. Just because you can't get hold of them now, it's not our fault, type of thing, and it's certainly not that person's fault.
And I also don't think it's professional if someone's sat in front of you and they ask you for recommendations and you just point blank say no. I think
they need that guidance.
Exactly. They're not, they don't know where to start in a lot of cases. And I think instead of trying to just go online and Google local solicitors where you can get any kind of answers. If we're talking from experience and people that have done a good job for our clients, then why wouldn't we give their names out?
Well, the other thing is as well, the way it works here, it's very different to the UK. The estate agent, because of the Decree 218, does most of the initial work for the solicitor before we even get a sale. When we get a sale, we can go to a file and we can send that file to your solicitor, your chosen solicitor, and that will have in there all the documentation that they need to start their due diligence.
That one.
To do their job.
To do their job. Yeah.
They will have a full copy of an escritura. They will have a notice in play. They will have a copy of utility bills. They will have all the client's details. They will have a license of first occupation, or they will have an AFO. An EPC, Energy Performance Certificate. They will have all of the documentation that they need from us or from the agent that does do it correctly, to hand straight to them. Now that's a tip. A lot of agents will say, yes, oh yeah, we've got all the paperwork. Well, don't fall into the trap that we fell into with collaborations. Ask to see the paperwork, or ask for all that paperwork beforehand. You won't have a clue what it says because it's going to be all in Spanish, but at least you'll have a copy of it. You can ask for a notice in play. That's the first thing. That's the one thing to ask for, and ask for a DIA form. And a DIA form is something that we have to fill in as an agent, and everything has to be transparent on that DIA form. Now, you will ask some agents what a DIA have they got a DIA form, and they'll be, a what?
Yeah.
Because I've had it myself. But if you ask for a notice in play and a DIA form, and you get sent to it within the hour, or, very, very, very quickly, then you know that you're working with an agent that is probably doing the job properly.
And everything that we are saying in this episode especially, we do have all this information on our website.
Yeah.
So you are more than welcome. Anyone that's watching us or listening to us, head over to www.spanishpropertychoice.com. We have a general information page on there where we do break all of this down. So if you want to go and click on, using a solicitor, and it'll give you all the information about what to look out for, general prices. You can go on what documents are needed, everything that we've collated over the years that we've been trading. We've tried to put it all on that general information page.
Yeah.
And
ironically as well, on each property, you will see a breakdown of costs. So you will see community fees, you will see basura, which is the rubbish collection fees.
Yeah.
You will see as you go down, we break down the deposit and how much you pay and when you pay. And we were the ones that actually started that, and obviously everybody's copied now, unfortunately, which is the normal thing with us.
And I think it's related to, again, we don't hide anything. We're very, very transparent. And from the very beginning, we tell you up front, look, these are your buying expenses. These are the outgoing costs on a property. And the amount of times that I'm out on a viewing or I'm speaking to clients, and yes, this is going to make your head expand, but everyone says, Shaun, whoever designed your website, which is Mrs. Mother Garner over here, they always say best website that they've been on, because we give you all that information up front. It's not like, here's some really pretty pictures and then contact us for more information. It's no, here's everything you need to know, and then you contact us if everything's still ticking all your boxes or squeezing all your lemons, as you like to say. So yeah, tips for buyers. I think it really, really does come down to feel confident in your agent, know what you're talking about as well as a buyer, do your investigating, do your studying on, what is required, but also go and have a read of our website.
Yeah.
Because every tip you can imagine about buying a property in Spain is all over there.
And talk to us as well, because, unfortunately, we do get an awful lot of people say, can I speak to Sharon, or can I speak to Steve, or can I speak to Shaun, because obviously we're known on the show. But we can only stretch ourselves so far. Our team are incredible. We've got a fabulous team. They're part of our family. They've been with us a long time. And any one of them will give you the same information that we will give you, because that's how we've trained them. They know how we work. We've just had this scenario with John or Juan moving down to Costa del Sol. Still can't say.
He'll get his name right one day.
Yeah, I know. But, Juan's now down in Costa del Sol. He's worked for us for 4 years. And the reason that, we've opened up down there now is because we know that he will continue the way that we work. He knows our ethics, our standards, and how to be transparent. And we've got the confidence in him to run that side of the business down there.
And the amount of people that say to us, why are most of your staff clients of ours?
Yeah.
But there is a reason. It's one, because we obviously do build a good relationship with a lot of our clients. And I think the main reason is they've been through the experience. I think such a huge part in why we've been successful is that, let's face it, when you and Dad came over to try and buy a house the first time, things weren't easy.
Oh, no.
And you almost learnt the hard way about
Yeah, we almost bought an
documentation.
illegal house, yeah.
And I think that's it. It kind of set you then up to say, well, if we're going to do this and we're going to be estate agents in Spain, we need to do it the right way.
Yeah.
So I think the clients, our members of staff, if they've bought through us, they've been through that with us.
Yeah.
So then what's the word?
I don't know. Where you gone? Would you like would you like a bit of fruit? Just a bit of energy.
I need some energy, yeah. No, I'm just going to chew down the microphone. No, but talking to clients that want to buy, I think speaking to someone that's already bought here through us as an agent, they're talking from experience.
Yeah.
So it does go back to all of our staff know what they're on about. They know the advice to give, and we all work on the same sort of textbook, really, don't we?
Yeah,
we
because
all work.
I think the thing is, there's no good trying to fluff things up. There's no good trying to tell you everything's wonderful, because it isn't wonderful. There are things that go wrong. Spain isn't perfect. All we do is, the more we get to know you and the more we talk to you, and we find this with people that film with us, because we spend a lot of time with those people filming. So actually, they really do get so much information from us, don't they? And, we hear people's stories. We have a lot. For us, it's not just about when we sell a property. You've got to remember that we have people come into our office, and we've been doing this nearly 20 years now. And during that time, I've had people sit in front of me. I've had ladies and gentlemen on their own that's maybe lost their partner. They've come in to sell their property, and it's me that's had to say, hang on a minute, I don't know how to say this, but you haven't got any paperwork for your property. They bought on private contracts, years ago. You now need to get an AFO, but, we can sort that. We can put you in touch with the right people, and we can organise that, but you will need to get the AFO before you can sell. And they've been in tears. I mean, I've cried with them, because they've put all of their money into the property. They're possibly now either downsizing or moving back to the UK because they can't afford it on their own. And now all of a sudden they're hit with this bill because now they've got to get an AFO. Now I can't sort of go too much back to 20 years ago, because that's the way it was done. But believe me, since 2005, when the decree came out, anybody that bought after 2005, they should have been sold a property that's legal. That's a fact.
And I think the biggest misconception is that people think that this is only Spain, that these issues happen only in Spain.
It's all over Europe.
Yeah, I mean, I've just had some clients that were trying to buy a property through us here, and they were selling a big farm back in the UK, and it turned out almost at completion that they found out that part of their land isn't theirs.
Yeah.
And you think, well, that's even in the UK.
Yeah, but you don't get to hear that on the news in the
No,
UK. In Spain, it's all over.
yeah, and
all
it's
over
more
the news.
daunting because obviously you move into a foreign country. It's a different language. Spain is known for being a little bit more, relaxed in those sort of conversations. But like I say, it's doing your research, it's speaking to the right agent, it's getting all of that knowledge together, speaking to a lawyer, a solicitor that can guide you as well.
So I think we've covered have we covered all the tips for buying a property? Just come to Spanish Property Choice.
Yeah, exactly. We covered it in the first 10 words of this episode. Yeah, just come to Spanish Property Choice.
We work with a lot of good agents. We've got collaborations with all the good agents, and we can find you the property. There's no problem about that. If you don't see it on our website, just contact us and we'll find it for you. That's
Definitely.
the simple answer on that one.
Definitely.
Now to our vendors.
Yes. A very similar kind of conversation, I
Come
suppose.
to Spanish Property
Come
Choice.
to Spanish Property Choice. Because we will sell your property. No, again, not going back into all the paperwork, but yes, we will ask for certain documentation and, we will work with you to get it from your solicitor. We'll take it and scan it in the office. That's the easy part.
Yeah.
We'll make that the easy part.
Yeah.
But I think something that we don't touch on a lot with our vendors, and maybe we should, about something that surprises me all the time is presentation of a house or staging a house.
How many times do I have to fluff a cushion?
Yeah, this is it.
Make a bed, sweep poop off the floor.
Yeah. Well,
Well, if the vendor's not here anymore, we have to present the house. Presentation of your house is the key, and this is the God's honest truth. I remember having a house on the books, and every single time we did a viewing, all they could mention was the colour of the chimney breast. Do you remember it had like a yellow chimney breast?
Yeah.
And in the end, I just wanted to get a tin of white paint and paint the chimney breast. It was as simple as that.
Yeah.
And this is a God's honest truth. I'm not lying to you. With the owners, in the end, we said to them, look, you're going to have to do something about the chimney breast because it keeps being brought up. People can't see how it can be changed. They got it painted and we literally sold it within probably 2 or 3 weeks after that.
Yeah, I mean, we always use clients' feedback, don't we, to go back to the owners and say, okay, they didn't like it for this reason, and it depending what the clients have always said, but I have it all the time where obviously I'm one of the members of staff that goes out to take the pictures of the properties, and sometimes, everyone lives the way that they live, or everyone presents their homes the way that they want to, but I think when you're trying to sell a house, you do have to do a certain amount of staging. If you're still living there, it's more difficult. But then I remember you selling the house in the UK and you made us live in a show home, for...
You weren't even allowed to wear socks in the house because you could have left bits on the floor.
It was, you keep the house presented, and I think that is one of the biggest tips I can give to anyone that's trying to list their property at the moment is presentation will sell your house. There are a lot of elements that go into selling and buying properties, but I think if you're thinking, yes, let's list the house, it'll never go amiss a lick of paint, a good clean through, just staging it, depersonalizing it as well. I find that a lot.
Yeah, fridge magnets. Get rid of your fridge magnets.
I love fridge magnets.
No, it's people don't like it, unfortunately. Get rid of fridge magnets. Personal photographs. We always recommend that they're removed if you can. I know it's sort of taking away the core of your home, but at the end of the day, you're looking at selling.
Yeah.
Make sure that the pool's clean and kept up to scratch.
Yeah.
All these things matter because honestly, you wouldn't believe some of the things that we see when we go into properties.
I have seen some very, very interesting scenarios,
And I have.
and
Yeah.
It's hard because especially if the home isn't lived in or the owners haven't been here for a while or it's a rental property, it is always difficult in those circumstances to maintain a property. But just general, I've washed people's dishes up in the past.
Yeah.
I've had to go into their home and I've washed their plates and their dishes up because to me, those minor details do make a big difference.
Yeah.
For viewings as well, when we're taking clients round, you want to really sell them that property.
Yeah.
You're not going to sell them with a load of dirty knickers on the floor,
Yeah.
or you've got to just put that bit of effort in, and honestly, the difference it makes to trying to sell a property.
Do you remember
huge.
that apartment we had? And I remember showing. It was a family that got the 3 boys. And we did a viewing. I'm trying to think where it was now. I think it was Vera. And do you remember the hump in the bed? We thought somebody had died in the bed. Do you remember it?
I don't think that was me. I think that was Dad.
Was it Dad?
I remember hearing about it.
Oh, I remember. Well, I remember
happened.
screaming when we went in the room because we all of us thought somebody had died in the bed, and and actually, what it was, they'd put all their bed linen on the bed and just threw like a
just
throw
covered
over it, but
it.
it looked like a body under there. Simple things like that. I mean, it completely put those people off that property, and it wasn't, I'm sure that the owner didn't mean anything by it.
No. And there are some people that can look past everything that we're saying. I do get some people and they're like, Shaun, cosmetic doesn't put me off. I'll put my own stamp on it anyway. But then the amount of houses or viewings that I've had that have gone bad because, like you were saying before with the colour of the chimney, I've had it where, someone's had a broken pane of glass in a window and I've said, just go and get it changed. And it's one less thing for someone to have a negative about. But it just, they just don't. It just sits there. And it's those tips I'd like to give to our vendors of, we're not, we're never judging your house or judging you or anything, but we'll use clients' feedback and we will see for our own eyes when we're looking around a house. If there's anything that we can guide you on, we're more than happy to do so. But please listen to us. Please take on board our feedback as well. And we're only going to try and guide you to getting you a sale. That is what we're here to do. And
I'm always happy to, if anybody's needs their house dressing for sale, I'm always happy to come and give you some advice or give you a helping hand. Just by moving furniture around sometimes helps, So, for our vendors, anybody that wants to put a property onto us, our services are there. We have gardeners, we have people that can look after your pool. We can make it, as nice as possible to sell. One of the biggest things that I'd like to say to a vendor as well is be honest with us, because we find a lot of times, if your air conditioning units don't work, please tell us, because what you don't understand is that when you sell a property, the buyer of that property has a month after they purchase the property and they can come back for you. They can actually come back to the solicitors and they can, if the air conditioning unit doesn't work, they can insist, that's replaced. The swimming pool, if the swimming pool's not working properly, be honest with us and we can get those things sorted out, because it will come back and bite you on the bum.
Yeah, and it's our liability to obviously be as upfront with our clients as possible, give them all the right sort of information, and I think it is, for a vendor, it kind of comes back to, again, using an estate agent that's going to be doing the right sort of job for you. An agent that is going to check your paperwork and make sure nothing's going to spring up at the end. An agent that is going to be honest with you and say, look, throw a bit of paint on that wall and it'll just freshen it up and it'll make it look nice and clean. And we will give you all of those tips and we will guide you. And again, we are not only looking out for the buyers. Technically, we're contracted by the vendors.
Absolutely.
Our contract is with the vendor, and that's who's employing us to sell their house. But we have to make sure we're very 50-50 fair and split down the middle with the information.
And we also have to say as well that we do not charge our purchasers any money whatsoever. our fees are all paid by the vendor. Now, I know that's different. Some agents do charge both. But Spanish Property Choice, we have a contract with our vendors and they pay our fees. We don't charge our purchasers anything.
Yeah.
So, staging your house is really, really important. Be honest with us is also important. Please understand why we ask you for the paperwork. We don't want to do it, but we do it because we want to aid a quick sale for you, and we can deal with any issues that you've got prior to a sale, which won't hold a sale up or potentially lose a sale. And I don't think there's much more really you can say about that. That's pretty much what we're asking, isn't it? And I think that's about it, really.
Yes. Thank you all for tuning in for another episode.
Yeah.
It's been a bit of a different one, I think, this week. A bit more informative and just to kind of give you as much information as we can, because we do get so many questions about, where do we even start when it comes to buying in Spain, and vendors kind of wanting to know how we work. So, hopefully you've all enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And please...
I'm not sure they will have had a shazza-tingle, though.
Oh, I don't know. But if you have, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. And we have officially hit over 1,000 followers on our YouTube.
Oh, yes. Thank you very much, all of you.
Yes, thank you very, very much. And our Spotify and Apple, for any of our audio listeners, you can go over there and listen to the podcast on there. So, yes, I think for this week, it's a wrap.
It's a wrap. We are done. Everybody have a fantastic week, and we will see you next week. Adios.